Edie just inspired me. Well, I'm sorry.
She inspires us all.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Will the UN consider establish a kind of like a DOGE, DOGE department to tackle the efficiency of this institution, which has been criticized by the incoming U.S. investor?
I don't have any real reaction to comments. We get and are used to getting criticism from governments around the world. Part of the nature of this job is that we're not going to please all the governments all the time, and we accept that. What we want the governments of the world to appreciate is the value of the work that we do for all of them.
Okay, come back to my actual question. Now, when answering Gabby's question, you talked about the liaison, the contact with the White House.
And by the way, I was right. It is Will Davis. He's still the head of the UN Information Center in Washington.
Will there be any appointment or arrangement now of the communication between President Trump and the Secretary General of this organization?
UN Secretaries General always try to maintain communication with our host country and with government officials in our host country. You've seen different UN heads not just communicate with the presidents, but with key members of the U.S. Congress, and we'll continue to do that.
Or maybe the newly appointed Secretary of State.
Yes.
Does he have that kind of arrangement?
Obviously, we tend to communicate with whoever is the U.S. Secretary of State, yes.
Okay, one last thing. Last year, I asked Florence about the arrears and how much U.S. owned the contribution to this organization. Do you have the exact figure of that?
By an amazing coincidence, some of your colleagues have been asking the same question today. And what I can tell you is that right now, the United States owes $1.5 billion to the regular budget of the UN.
1.5 billion.
1.5 billion. Okay. And then between the regular budget, the peacekeeping budget, and the tribunals, the total amount that they owe to all three is $2.8 billion.
Do you think you can get this money under Trump administration?
We have gotten the money for UN expenses under all of the various administrations in the past.
Hi, Sharon. Since you've mentioned about Pact for the Future, we know that one of the most important issues is tackling climate crisis, yet the new U.S. President Trump just said that U.S. is going to withdraw from Paris Agreement. I'm just wondering whether anything the President of the General Assembly have to say about this issue.
Well, first thing, in terms of joining the Paris Agreement, it signals a commitment by all countries to address climate change. And as we all know, the climate emergency is actually exacerbating, and more important than ever is this, moving forward with the Paris Agreement. The President of the General Assembly encourages all countries to be engaged in the Paris Agreement.
But does he feel disappointed that the biggest emitter withdraw from the agreement? What are we going to do now?
He wants all countries to be part of the Paris Agreement, and he will continue reiterating his call that all countries need to be engaged so that we are able to address this climate emergency.